Hello, hello. I am so excited to have you with me for this episode. This episode is going to be a little bit different. Today, I wanted to dig into money. Now, let's be honest, some have an issue when it comes to money. And I wanted to really dig into this because until we can relieve ourselves of these money limitations that we have in our head, things like I can't invest money, I don't have money, I'm broke, money doesn't come easily to me, money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. What about some of the ones that we believe in ourselves? I can't charge more. Why would anyone pay me that? All of these limiting beliefs that people have around money are hindering them in their business and their life in some way. So, this episode is going to be a little bit different. The first part of it, I want to talk about money, how money shows up in our life, because this is something that I heard recently, which absolutely blew my mind. And I wanted to share it with you as well. And the second part of this episode, I really want to dig in and help you find some of the root causes for these beliefs, because they say that we can't fix what we don't know, and our brain is very good at burying the stuff that is holding us back. The first part I want to talk about is how money shows up. There are so many people that believe that money only shows up as cash. So there are actually 5 ways that money shows up in our life. And I thought it would be really powerful for you to hear these 5 ways, because it is not something that we normally think about in this sense. So let's talk about the first way that money shows up. This is the obvious one. Money shows up as cash. So this might be money deposited into your bank account, which is the most common way. And everybody believe that cash is king. Got to save your cash. Cash is the only currency. That's what we got to focus on. This is the most important or the most popular part of money that everybody thinks about, okay? But the problem is that a lot of people not enough all over cash. They don't think they have enough. They complain about it when it goes out. So they have so many limiting beliefs around cash and money. One of the things that I hear when people come to me is, oh, that's too expensive. Now, I know if you say that to me, you probably have some kind of limiting belief around money. When we say it's too expensive, you might be afraid to charge for your own services. You might have things that are holding you back in charging for your products. But I want you to remember that nothing is ever expensive. It is always an investment. So if you think it's too expensive, then perhaps you're not seeing the value. If clients are giving you this objection, it might also be that they're not seeing the value in the offer. So maybe you need to explain it a bit differently, or you need to help them overcome objections. Now, how many times have you said, I'm broke, I don't have enough money for that, this is not a possibility for me? Like, money is a resource that is scarce. So these kinds of limiting beliefs around cash is a massive reason that some people really struggle to hit their financial goals, because you might be going, I'm going to earn 10K, but then in the back of your mind you have that money is scarce, it's hard to get money, these kinds of beliefs. So one part of you pushes forward and it's, oh my God, I want this, I'm going for this. And then there's that other part of you, which is your subconscious mind, which controls like 90% of you, that is saying that it's not possible for you. You can't charge that much. There's not enough. So you're not enoughing all over the cash. And then you wonder why maybe you're struggling to have cash in your life, maybe deposits in your bank account and stuff like that. So one of the ways that I have found really helpful when I start to feel that, because I'm not perfect in this, I am not going to pretend that all my money beliefs are all gone and everything is perfect. That's just not true. But one of the things that I start to do is when I start to feel this not enough frequency, or I start to worry about money, then one of the things that I do is I close my eyes and I do a simple meditation. So if you close your eyes with me now for just a minute, I want you to have a think about this, okay? As you're breathing in, I want you to visualize how cash comes into your life. Is it money being deposited into your bank account by Stripe? Like, how does money come into your life? And I want you to take a deep breath in And I want you to visualize that money. So, if for me, it's Stripe telling me that someone has paid for something, it's my bank account that notifies me that money has been deposited. So, I want you to breathe in those deposits. So, the first part is being able to receive money. Breathe it in. Imagine all of those different methods of money coming to you. Imagine seeing those email notifications that money has been paid. Imagine seeing the notifications from your bank account coming up on your phone. Deposit, deposit, deposit. Breathe it in. Every time you breathe in, think about that money coming into your account. Now, on the other side of this, when you breathe out, think about how that money can bless us, because a lot of people have limiting beliefs around money. Money is evil, money is bad, it's greedy to want money, right? But as you're breathing out, I want you to think about all the ways that money can bless people. So, breathing in cash, money flows easily to me. I'm a money magnet. Money comes easily to me. And then as you're breathing out, think about who you can bless with that money, because money is an energy. The more that you worry about it, the less of it that you tend to have. Like, how many of you, when you're like, oh my God, money comes easily to me, you don't think about it, suddenly there's random deposits in your bank. But when you start to worry about it, how am I going to pay the bills? And the more that you stress about it, the more that you don't have it, the more that it feels like there's not enough cash coming into your life. So, start to think about it. Be thankful when money goes out. I am so thankful for my bills because it allows me to have a roof over my head. It allows me to have food in my stomach. My electricity bill means that I can run my business. It means that I can be comfortable. So start being really thankful for the money that's going out. The money coming in abundantly, and then the money going out to help you to grow your business, to save time. One of the big beliefs that I struggle with is that it's a waste of money to hire. It is not a waste of money. If I don't have to spend 500 hours on YouTube and someone can tell me where to click and how to get it done faster, it is not a waste of money to invest in someone. And when we have these beliefs that it's a waste of money to invest, guess what? We struggle to sell our own program as well, because we can not sell what we haven't paid. This was something that was told to me many years ago. If you are not someone who has invested 2000, you will have limiting beliefs around money that you haven't paid out yourself. Breathing in money comes to me abundantly. See the money coming to you and breathing out all the ways that you can spend it. And it's not a waste of money. It's not an expense. It's an investment. It's a way for you to not only help someone else in their business, because let's be honest, we all have families. So it's not only a way for you to bless someone else, but it's also a way for you to maybe have the shortcut, to be able to improve your life, to grow in some way, to grow your business, to grow your profits, to grow your mindset, whatever it is. Everything going out and coming to us is a blessing. So one of the things that I found really interesting, there's a thing called Ho'oponopono. So when you think about cash, do this. I am sorry, cash, that I tried to control you, that I not enoughed all over you. I'm sorry that I worried that you wouldn't come in. I'm sorry that I blocked the manifestation. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Thank you so much, Cash, for always being there when I've needed you. Thank you, Cash, for coming into my life abundantly. I promise now to never worry about you again. I trust and I know that you will come to me when I need it. I release all control, all worry, all anxiety, all fear around cash. I love you, right? So you have to appreciate what comes in and what goes out. So number two, the second type of money that shows up in our life is gifts. Now, I don't know about you, but I struggled with this one big time because I feel like I owe people when gifts come in. So, this is like God or the universe or whatever you believe showing you love. Like, this is another way because if you had to pay for these gifts, the money's coming out of your bank account, the cash is coming out of your bank account. And it's so random when you start to believe in this, how things just flow into you. So, for me, for example, I paid for a client to go to an event recently and the money went out. But then it's so amazing because guess what? She gave me a gift of breakfast. She gave me a gift of water. So, gifts coming into our life, it might be a free coffee that comes in or a free dinner. But people don't see this as real money because we can't control it. It comes to us as the universe brings it to us. And I think it also comes to us and we're like, oh, I owe that person. No, it's a gift. Be thankful for it. And again, if you need to come back to that honoponopono, I'm sorry that I tried to control the way that you gave me gifts, right? Please forgive me. Thank you for the amazing gifts that you bring into my life where cash doesn't have to leave my bank account to pay for it. I love you, universe, God, whatever you believe, for bringing these gifts into my life. I am open to more gifts coming into my life in whatever form you feel. It might be an interview with someone that you do on your podcast or your show that their knowledge that they impart into you, it just is life changing completely. So I now promise to whatever you promise to do, be thankful for every gift. I know that you will give me gifts as you feel is needed. I trust that you have my back, that you are looking after me. These could also be discounts. The number three one is support or debt. Now, I see a lot of people, they're angry when they have to pay their credit card back. Oh, it's a bill, it's an expense. But I am so thankful when I had a credit card that it allowed me to be able to leverage debt for personal growth. I use Afterpay still, which allows me to buy like maybe my camera equipment or my microphones, and I can pay it off in 4 installments. It gives me discounts on stuff. So it gives me gifts. So I leverage debt. I know that a lot of people hold shame around it or guilt around it, but this is a tool that allows us to be able to quantum leap into our next level. Leveraging debt in a smart way, it is a tool that allows me to grow faster. It means I don't have to wait to save. I don't have to wait for the money to come in. It is an amazing gift. And I am so thankful when I make those payments because it has allowed me to be able to leverage it, to be able to utilize it before I paid for it. So again, it comes down to being really thankful that we had the ability to pay with a credit card. Now, I also don't pay with credit cards for instant gratification things. I won't put my credit, like my phones or makeup or anything on credit because I want anything that I leverage credit for to be an asset, to be something that can move me forward. And I don't feel like watches or whatever is something that is an asset. It is something that's a liability because let's be honest, once you've spent the money, you can't get that money back again at whatever level you spent it. Usually it depreciates in value. So I leverage debt in smart ways. The next one that is really important, especially if you're a business owner or maybe you have a job, is future. Now you're like, what the heck is future? So future is the money that comes into you via revenue. It might be your paychecks, right? So this is money taking care of you in the future. Instead of trusting that it will come in, trusting that you are worth it, trusting that a client will pay you, there are a lot of people that are like, I don't count the money till it's in my bank account. I know that I held this one for a long time. They don't trust that the money will be there when they need it. They don't trust it until that money turns into cash. This is literally something that repels money. Like when we don't trust, when we don't have belief, when we don't know that money is 100% got our back, then we start to have issues with money coming in. So stay in trust. Clients pay me when they sign up. I am so excited for all the revenue that's coming into my business. Wealth is attracted to calm. Have you ever had this where you're really anxious, like you're really stressed, and it seems like the more stressed you get about it, the more anxious you get about it, the further it goes away. Having these $1 million rituals, having vibe boosters, that money comes easily to me. All I do is win. I am a money magnet. People love my message. I am changing lives. The more that you vibrate at this higher frequency, the better you feel, first of all. And the second, the more money that comes to you when you stop stressing about every single piece of money starts coming to you. Wealth is attracted to calm and steady vibrations. So, I am committed to being calm around money. That is something that I keep reminding myself because let's be honest, as the cost of everything raises, it can be very distressing. Oh my God, now the electricity has just risen 20%. And oh my God, now the car's going up and now the food's going up. Like it can be really easy to drop yourself into those low vibrations, to stress about it, to worry about it. Okay. So again, go back to that Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I trust, or I know. The more that you have certainty that money just comes to you, the more that money comes to you. Release it. Set your prices on your programs and release it, and then go out and serve the world. Because at the end of the day, our bank account directly reflects our money beliefs in our head, and it also directly reflects the service. The more value that we provide to people, of course, the more value that we provide to people with a price tag, because there are a lot of people out there that are providing value, but that value is free. So you are worth charging for your services. You are worth the money because you have taken the time, you have studied the hours, you have clients maybe that you've gotten results for. You are worth it. You don't have to give all of your amazingness away for free. And I feel so sad for the people who are giving value after value after value on social media. And then people are like, well, I got this. I can do it myself. I don't need to hire that person. You don't have to give your knowledge away for free. It is perfectly fine for you to charge for your knowledge, to charge for your gifts, to charge for your genius zone. You deserve it. You are worth it. And the money in your bank account will reflect how much you raise your vibration around money. Now, the last category around money is freedom. Now, this one is one that people are like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. So this is one that only a few people actually have the courage to see it as money. This is the ideas that you have in your head. Oh, I should run this workshop for $9 on this. I should create this upsell. I should start this program. These are your ideas that you have. The idea comes to you and you're like, no, I can't do that. You don't take action on it. And because you're not taking action on it, you're leaving money on the table. This is like God going, here, this will be amazing for you. This is your gift. This is your genius zone. You can charge for this. Charge this much for this. You know that little feeling? You're like, oh, I want to charge 2K. I can't charge 2K. That intuition inside of you that's like, okay, well, I really want to charge this because you know your freedom numbers. You know the figures that you're trying to, but you're like, I can't do that. People don't see their ideas as money. Think about the graveyard for a second. How many people have gone to the graveyard with their amazing $1 million ideas inside them? Or they've had a $1 million idea and then they didn't act on it. And what happens is someone else has that idea, they bring it to fruition, now they're rich, and that person's like bitter and angry at the person who stole their idea. But the truth is that idea, that intuition, that internal guidance system, no matter what you believe it is, it's like telling you, here's your idea, go live, talk about this, say this, be yourself. And you're like, no, I can't do that. And we hold ourselves back. So you hold your freedom back again. Like, it's crazy to think about how amazing our lives would be if we followed that internal guidance system. When it said go live, or you had an idea, You actually did it. Like, how amazing is that? And the thing is that so many people, they have these ideas like God, the universe, whatever you believe, is trying to co-create with you. But people are not taking action. I have one lady on my social media list who has been on my social media list for at least 3 years. And for the last 3 years, she's been telling me how much she hates her job and how much she wants to start her own business. And she's got ideas and she hasn't done it. How much money would she have made by now if she had acted on that 3 years ago? But she has limiting beliefs around her job being stable, even though her job cut her hours dramatically during COVID. She has ideas around she can't invest, she can't afford this, she can't afford that. And all of these red flags that she's throwing up, her soul is telling her intuition, God, universe, whatever it is trying to get a message to her that this could literally change her life, but she's ignoring it. She's shitting all over these intuition. She's shitting all over her dreams. She's holding back because of limiting money beliefs. And there's only so many times when that voice, is two ways of it happening. That voice screams at you, do this, and you ignore it. And suddenly the voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter as you settle. The other thing that happens is suddenly your whole world explodes. Suddenly you're fired from that job and your whole world explodes. And that's another way that the universe shows you that this is what you're supposed to be doing, because it explodes your world. And it's like, hello, I've been telling you this idea for 3 years. Now you have to do it because it's exploded you. Now, some people, they won't do it. They'll push it down. They'll go looking for another way to settle. And some people will be like, stuff it, I'm doing it. They get over their limiting beliefs and they just figure out the first steps, because we don't need to know the whole path. We just need to know the first steps. So this is where freedom comes in. Like, money comes in so many different ways. So those 5 things again: cash, which is the one that everybody thinks about. It comes in gifts. It might come as a debt or a support that we pay off. It comes in freedom. And then, of course, it comes in future, the revenue that it brings to us. So there are so many ways that money can come in if we just expand our vision. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the second part of this. So this is where you got to get your pen and paper out. This is where we're going to do some hard work, because until we identify where these limiting beliefs have come from, what these limiting beliefs are, we can't get over them. I have some questions for you. Get out your pen and paper. This may take you a couple of days. So don't worry about the fact if it takes you a little bit longer. This may take you time, but it is totally worth it. I have found the more that I can confront my limiting beliefs, the more that I bring them to the surface, the more that I can actually work on them. I can create strategies to go around them and fix them. We're going to bring them to the surface so that you can start to have some kind of vibe, things that can change it when these beliefs come up. So grab your pen and paper and let's get to work. Let's start answering these questions. So we're going to work first on finding the money system that you have in yourself. Let's start looking at money for you, and let's start finding those issues potentially that you might have around money that comes from the past. Now, you may need to pause this episode and journal as you think about it, because there might be a couple of moments where your unconscious mind brings up stuff. So make sure you're writing them all down, because you never know when you're writing, somehow it may trigger something that you go, oh my God, that's when I decided that, or that's when that became a belief of mine. So the first thing that we want to ask is, what was the first time that you remember being given money to spend? Like, when was the first time you had money, and what kind of emotional state was it given in? Was it given freely? Was it given with begrudgingly? Was it given where you were given like a bit of a lecture about it, so you felt guilty almost for accepting it? So when was the first time that you were given money to spend? So then, after you were given that money, what was the response that was received on how you chose to spend it? What was the emotions around how you chose to spend it? If you bought lollies, was it considered wasteful? So you started to feel guilt around spending money in a way that makes you happy. When you were young, were you given an allowance or spending money, or was it tied to having to work in some way, like chores? So, when you were young, were you given money? Were you given an allowance freely, or was it tied to having to work hard and chores? When you were given money or when money came to you, were you taught about money being something that had to be tied to something you do for someone, some kind of work, or was it given freely? Who was the main breadwinner in your house as a child? Like, who made the most money? And what was the emotions around that? So, if your father maybe made the most money, did he control money in the house? Was your mother made to feel less if she spent money on herself? How did your mother feel, maybe, if he was the main breadwinner? Were they equal? Did your mother not make money? Think about the emotional states around money and the breadwinners. So, who talked to you most about money? Was it your parents? Was it family, friends, teachers, society? And was it positive or negative? Like, money doesn't come easily. You have to work hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. We're broke. We can't afford that. What kind of beliefs were enforced in you over and over again, positive or negative, that every time you heard about money, these are the things that were said to you? What was the explanations as to why some people have money and maybe some people have less? Why are they saying that was the way it is? What were you taught around why some people have more and some people have less? And what were you taught about the people who have more? What were the beliefs that were said to you about the people who have more? And what were the beliefs that were said to you about the people having less? This is really important. If you were the person that had less, maybe you were told that money doesn't grow on trees. You were told that rich people are greedy. So you are hesitating on charging more because you believe that maybe rich people are greedy. You don't want to be the rich person that's greedy. There may be underlying guilt or shame around that kind of stuff. Was giving and generosity modeled in your childhood? Did your parents give generously, or were they like, hold it back, money is to be saved, like, I got to look after myself first? Or was it important that they gave to maybe the less fortunate in some way, whether it be time or money? Like, what were the beliefs around giving and generosity in your childhood and as you got older? Were you given some kind of explanation about money? Were you preached at? For me, I got a lot of Bible verses about money, being greedy, and just a lot of religious programming around money. So, what was explanations given to you just about money in general? What were you taught about saving? Was there a percentage that you had to save? Like, you couldn't spend anything, you couldn't have anything that made you happy unless you had saved that amount. Like, you had to save up for everything. It was an allocation. Was it put into a piggy bank, or was it put into a bank account where you couldn't touch anything until you reached that goal? And who set that goal for you? I know that for me, one of the things that I struggled with is that I have to have $5,000 in the bank, because my dad said, if you don't have $5,000 in the bank, you can't spend money. You've got to save. It's your slush fund, blah, 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 blah. So there were a lot of negative limiting beliefs around not being able to spend on anything that made me happy, because I didn't have that slush fund. And then when I had that slush fund, you got to have more, because, it's just crazy. What were the beliefs that were put around you about saving money? What were the beliefs put around you about investing money? So, for instance, I'm hiring someone to help you, like a cleaner, for instance, going out for dinner or buying food from a cafe. What were your beliefs around investing money? What were you told about investing money in others or in things that could save you time or save you stress, for example? When did you get your first bank account? When did you get your first bank account, and how did the money come into that bank account? Again, was it you only got money in that bank account when it was hard work, and or was money given to you freely? Did you understand the cost of living? Bills, expenses, income, or was it more complained about like a victim mindset? Oh, I'll get this money in, and as soon as I get the money in, it goes out again. Money doesn't come easily. Money slips through my fingers. There's more bills than there is month or whatever. These kinds of limiting beliefs. Identify as many limiting beliefs as you can. Remember to be including emotions around all of this. So, was a budget explained to you as money coming in, money going out, what was needed? What was the emotions around budgeting and budgeting with your own money, even as a woman, maybe looking at bank statements, being involved in your household's finances? What was the feeling, even like from your mother? Was your mother involved in the household finances and the household budgeting? Did she have a say in the money? Or was it all taken care of by your father? What about now in your life? Are you scared to look at your bank statements because you don't want to know what's going out and what's coming in? Or maybe your husband handles it. Like, what are the emotions around budgets and money in your life right now as well? Were you taught to save for something, or were you forced to save? Like you couldn't use credit, you don't use debit, like you have to save. It's not an option. Your parents always giving money to someone else, which caused you to suffer in some way. So for example, when I was a child, my mum gave 10% of everything that came into our household to the religious ministries, and I had a lot of contention and a lot of issues around giving money to those institutions that were getting the Learjets, and meanwhile we couldn't afford to put money on our table. So like we couldn't afford to put food on our table, for example. What was a percentage of money always given to someone else or something else that caused you to suffer, and maybe you built some beliefs as a result of that? What were you taught that you should do with money? Like, for instance, were you taught that you had to pay the bills first? You can't be happy. You got to save for a rainy day. Like, what were you taught about money? Were there discussions of not enough or charges, like negative charges tied constantly to money that came in and out of the house? Did you ever see, like, when you had moments where money come in, where you could make choices that made you happy with the money? So you had surplus of money so you could go on a holiday or whatever, or was money always had this negative connotation to it? Were you taught that in order to get more money, you needed to know the right people? You needed to be on, like, you needed to have it in a certain amount of time, like it was all tied to luck, maybe. Maybe you might believe only the lucky make money or have money. Or maybe you might believe it's who you know, not what you know. So think about the limiting beliefs around that you may have, statements that you have that come into your head around those kinds of things. Did you have to work from a young age? Were you taught that the value of money and the value of working? And did you have to work hard because you were underpaid or you weren't paid fairly? What were you taught about money when you first did your first job, for instance? Did your parents own their own business? And maybe they neglected you, or they didn't have time for you, or they didn't have money. There wasn't much money coming in. So it was always a struggle. So, what were you taught about running your own business? Think about all the limiting beliefs, maybe, that come from owning your own business and investing in people to help you, or expenses for your business, like all of the emotions and the statements and the beliefs that you hear in your head around business, being a business owner. Did you need to have a slush fund, an amount of money that wasn't negotiable? You needed to have that because if you didn't have that, you weren't going to survive. Have you ever maybe run out of money completely? And you're like, well, I knew this was going to happen. I'm broke. I'll always be broke. This is what happens to poor people. Poor people can't get ahead. Think about those beliefs. Were you taught that rich people or rich businesses or big companies are evil, corrupt, steal from the small? Do they go after small businesses, as an example, that they have to steal in some way, shape, or form, like the emotions around big companies and, rich people, right? What were you taught about finances when it comes to stress and pressure to perform being tied to money? When you get stressed or anxious about money, what were you taught? If you is talked about that to someone, what were you taught if you were stressed or anxious or worried about money? What were you taught? What emotional states? What way was it presented to you? So think about those kinds of things as well. How did sickness affect income in your house as a child? How does sickness affect your income in your business and life now as an adult? If you were to get sick or you were to overwork and you got some kind of permanent disability, how would it affect you? Or what would happen if you were to pass away or the main breadwinner in your house was to pass away? So think about all the money decisions or beliefs that you have and the emotions that you have around these kinds of things. What were your beliefs around the universe or God, whatever you believe, providing you money? So, what did you believe that had to happen in order for the universe to look after you, for God to look after you, for money to come freely, for there to be an abundance of money? Because there's no lack of money in the world. Let's be honest, there's money there. It's with different people. Money itself is not evil, it's the person who holds the money who chooses to do good or bad things. Like money is an amplifier. But what are your beliefs around money itself? If I say to you, you should charge more, what are the beliefs that come up when I say you should charge more, where you can't charge more? What about when I say that money comes easily to you? You're a money magnet, right? You're a genie, like you are your own genie. Imagine I am genie. Imagine you are your own genie. What are the beliefs that come up, like the things that counteract what I say? Write them down. So, what about, let's look at it from another perspective. What about if you had money? How would people treat you in your life? How would people treat you if you had money in your life right now? Are you worried maybe that if you have money, people will treat you differently? They'll think less of you. Maybe people will abandon you. If you think about money now, think about that. Like, how do you believe money affects your relationships? How did you see money affecting your relationships in your family, in your childhood? What beliefs did you have around money and relationships? What beliefs do you have around money if you had less than someone? So if you had less and you weren't keeping up with the Joneses, for instance, you decided you didn't want to have a 10K month, that you just wanted to have a 5K month because that covered all your bills, it makes your life comfortable, and you want to go off and travel and play the piano or learn a language or whatever it is for you, how would you be treated if you had less money, but you were happy maybe? So think about that for a second. What were you programmed to believe is true about money? What were you programmed to believe is true? That this is truth, like it's not negotiable. This is what you believe is the truth, right? How does money appear for you? So, how does money come into your life? If you listen to the beginning, we talked about the 5 ways that money comes into your life, but how does money appear to you? What do you personally think about money? What are you speaking about money? So when you talk about money, what do you say? Whether it's to yourself or to others, right? How do you relate to others about money? So can you talk freely about money? Can you express that you charge more? What would people say to you that maybe you're holding back on charging more because you're worried about being greedy? There's shame, there's guilt around money. So, how do you relate to others about money? And how do you relate to those with money? So, when you meet someone who charges $5,000 for their program, for instance, or someone who is doing well by your standards, how do you relate to them? What comes up in your head when you meet those people or you hear those price tags? Have you ever paid those kinds of prices. So the price that you charge right now, have you ever paid that yourself? The price that you would love to charge or you need to charge, have you ever paid that yourself? If so, why? Or if not, why? All of these questions are designed to bring as many money issues as we can to the surface. The more that we bring these issues and we realize the stories that we're telling ourselves, the more that we can counteract them. So get really deep on this. Take the time to really identify what these stories are that you are telling yourself that maybe someone with money doesn't tell themselves. Maybe someone who you want to be, your future self, wouldn't say these things. So, really take the time to identify these statements, to identify these negative emotions around money so that you can work on fixing them. And this is working with you on boosting your vibe around money. Because if you have a problem with money, you will struggle in your business, especially if you want to sell high ticket options. You will also attract people who don't have money because you have limitations around it. Okay. So, what kind of people are in your life at the moment? What are their beliefs around money? Do they believe that programs are too expensive? Do they believe that people are ripping them off? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And what are their beliefs on money? Maybe you need to change who you're surrounding yourself with so that you can have a more expanded view of what is possible for you. How do you see money coming in and going out? How do you see money coming in and going out in your life? How do you feel, particularly, about the money that goes out? Is it wasteful? Do you feel resentful paying those bills? Like, how do you feel about the money? And the last one, what is your relationship with money? And why do you feel like you are not worth more? You can't charge more, right? So these are a whole bunch of questions that are designed to start to find those ick, to start to find the emotions that are holding you back, the emotions, the negative emotions that are tied to money that maybe we can start to reverse. Okay. These questions, go over them in depth. Keep going over them. When you find, say, you want to buy a program, you need to make an investment in your business, you want to go and do something that makes you happy or your family happy, and you have that oof come up, that, oh, you can't do that, it's wasteful, whatever it is, make sure you're keeping track of them and then work on your vibe. Because when you start to release the fear of money and you start to release these limiting beliefs that you have around money, it is amazing how much more money you start to attract, how much of a money magnet that you become. And remember, money itself is not good or bad. It is imperative that we get the money in the hands of the good people like us that would change lives with it. Because at the moment, it's in the hands of a lot of people who are buying Lamborghinis and boats, which it may make you happy. But you know what? We could change even more lives. Really get to your beliefs around money. These were powerful questions that when I sat down and I did them, I was like, oh my God, I actually see where some of my beliefs are sitting now. And I need to change them because those beliefs are not going to help me to get to the person that I want to be. The person that I see myself in the future doesn't align with the beliefs that I wrote, and I need to work on changing them. So I hope this episode has helped you see that money comes in various different forms and that we need to start to identify the limiting beliefs around money that are holding you back, because only you can change them. And if you have a conflict where you want $10,000 or you want this amount of money, but you have these beliefs, they clash, and usually the beliefs win because we go back to what we know. It's our safety, it's our house. So now is the perfect time to start to overcome these beliefs, to identify them and start knocking them down one by one, because you deserve to be paid. You deserve to have an abundant life. We were not born to be poor and broke and have nothing and struggle. But when we have these kinds of beliefs, as you can see, it makes it very much a reality that we struggle with them. So I look forward to seeing you in another episode. Have an amazing week. Keep coming back over this episode as you start to see more of them crop up and get to work on these beliefs, because you can earn more, work less, and live happy. You only have these one life, and why let it be ruined by beliefs of someone in the past, by the beliefs of that are coming from maybe like the 1900s. I look forward to seeing you in another episode. Bye for now.